What's good, everybody? This is Ryan Johnson with MoneyBass.com. All right, guys, back with another one. Oh, yeah, and we're going to have some fun with this one. Let me go ahead and get everything set up. You guys know how I do. Come running here at the last minute. Have to make sure everything is set up and running, live and in action. As you guys come into the chat, please drop a 1 in the chat for me. Just want to make sure you guys can hear me okay and see me okay. And just give me a second. Let me check in on the Facebook crew. Make sure you guys are live and in action on the Facebook side of things. All right, guys, just bear with me. And yeah, no long intros. We're going to get straight into it tonight, guys. You have seen the title of tonight's live stream. It's going to be kind of an interesting one. And we have a special guest that'll be checking in. Just give me maybe about 5 minutes so we can kind of what I'm going to do. Let me just step through it real quick, guys. So what I'm going to do is play 1 or 2 clips to kind of, get you guys, ready for what the topic is going to be for this evening. Then I will bring our guest right up. So like I said, guys, no long intros, just getting in here, making sure the Facebook crew is up and running. Let me refresh this real quick. And here we go. All right, there we go. Special shout out to the Facebook crew. All right, you guys should be live in action, up and running over there. All right, and as you guys come into the chat, the other thing that I want you to do is get active in the chat and answer the poll question. So what we'll be doing also is just putting up a few polls throughout the show. And what those do is kind of gauge the room to see who we have in attendance for this evening. And for anybody that is watching this live stream on a replay, the lives are always better. They're very interactive. We're interacting with the chat. I do a live question answer segment. So what that is I will drop a call-in link where you guys can actually come up, ask some questions, state your thoughts or opinions on the topic, and then I'll drop you down and then we'll keep it moving. So like I said, this will be very interactive. So you want to make sure that you are in attendance every Tuesday at 8 p.m., guys. That is when we do these live, and you never know who may be showing up and you never know who will be in the chat. So like I said, always get in there, interactive with the chat. Your next fishing buddy may be in the chat, or someone that fishes the same lakes or in the same area may be in the chat with you. All right, so the poll question for the evening, guys, is: are you a YouTuber, a pro, or neither? So we're going to start off with that, and like I said, this is just to kind of gauge the room. All right, so we're going to hop straight into the content for the evening. So make sure you do answer the poll question. So as we go along, we can kind of see who is in here. But right now, are you a YouTuber, pro, or neither? And we'll get into what a pro fisherman is in a little bit, guys. We'll talk about that also. But right now, we have 19% are saying they are YouTubers. How about that? And we have 82% says neither. I'm just here for the entertainment. Let's see what's going on out here. Let's see what's going on. All right, so let me share my screen, guys. And I have a video clip that I do want to play for you first. And some of you guys may be familiar with this because I had a special guest on the live stream not long ago. And I want you guys to kind of hear whenever I brought up this topic, how he reacted whenever he noticed that, hey, I've been following some of the things that he's been doing for a while. All right, so here we go, guys. Let me just blow this up a little bit. All right, so here we go, guys. Want to give a big shout out for everybody that is tuning in. And like I said, no long intros. We're going to get straight into it. So here we go. Let me share the screen. Hold on 1 second, guys. Okay, here we go. All right, so this is just a quick intro of what we're going to be talking about this evening. It's really been mentioned before, but there's a video that you made when you were giving a building in the background, the middle finger, saying, "I'm out of here." So I remember when you made that video, and I was like, man, dude just quit his job. Oh my goodness, he's going for it. He's gonna do it. And you were sitting in there, you poured a little something in your cup, and you were like, hey guys, let's go ahead and talk about it. And so on the video you made right after that one, I remember you were talking about the fishing industry and how you didn't really see how you can make money. I think you were saying on the tournament side of things, but you were kind of building your path on the YouTube side of things. And when I went back and watched that video again a few days ago, and I was like, I wonder what he was thinking if you kind of had that plan of starting off on the YouTube side of things and kind of building that up, getting that following together, and then kind of branching off into the tournament side. Did you think of it that way, or were you more just, you know, with the YouTube thing, you saw a path to where you can follow your passion and make a living at it, and just kind of built from there?
I got some goosebumps, man, on my arm here. You freaking talking about that. That's like, you did your research. I appreciate that a lot, man. Those are some videos that I need to kind of, you know, I go back and watch. I like to go back and watch some of the older videos to kind of just get some perspective and just gain some gratitude on where we're at now, because it's crazy to see how far we've come. Just a dude, a young married dude in Nebraska, trying to figure out life with this 8-to-5 job with my college degree, and freaking a terrible, just to be completely transparent, just a really cheap place in the country to live if you want to pursue a job in the fishing industry, or a full-time tournament fishing job. And so, yeah, so it's kind of funny to think, like 5-6 years ago, I was having the same thoughts that people are still confused about these days, about how you can't just go fish tournaments and rely on getting checks in tournaments to make a living.
And see, you're saying I did my research. I saw that video whenever you first put it out, but I just recently, because when I thought about it, I was like, man, let me go back and watch. Let me just pause it real quick. Because you mentioned it on another podcast. Bear with me, guys. All right, so yeah, let me just pause that real quick. All right, so yeah, so that was kind of an intro into this next clip that I wanted to talk to you about, because he was kind of surprised that I was familiar with that video, but I figured I would bring up a quick segment of that and let you guys see exactly what we were talking about and why he was responding to the video that way. All right, hold on one second, guys. Let me just find it real quick. Share my screen once again. Like I said, just bear with me, guys. All right, here we go. All right, so here we go, guys. This is Mr. Ben Milikin in the early days prior to where you guys see him now.
Change is one of the most difficult things we deal with in all aspects of life.
And this is this says a year ago, but this was basically going to be a year later after he quit his job.
In today's video, I'm going to tell you why I just quit my 8-to-5 safe, decent paying day job to pursue a dream that might lead me nowhere. Put everything on the line and see if we can make this work.
All right, so let me just skip through it just a little bit.
A couple things changed. Put this guy over here because you're not a real YouTuber and cool.
All right, so yeah, so there you go. So a year later, now let's see what he had to say about his experience from leaving his job and being on the YouTube side of things.
Freaking life. Got an exciting video today. As you guys just saw in that clip, that was exactly 1 year ago today that I made the decision to quit my full-time job working in a profession that I got my college degree for in order to pursue a dream in the fishing industry of being a full-time YouTube fisherman. I can't believe it's seriously been a year. It's been like the longest / slowest / fastest year of my entire life, but we'll get into all that. If you guys haven't figured it out by now from the title, thumbnail, and everything else in this introduction, today's video is going to be all about my last 1 year, exactly 1 year being a full-time YouTube fisherman. We're going to document a whole bunch of I'm a better fisherman.
All right, here we go. So let's skip to the next part where he's now comparing being a YouTuber versus a pro fisherman. And remember, guys, this is maybe like 5-6 years ago. So he's saying some things back then that are still being discussed now. And, you know, we're going to get into the meat of today's live stream right after this, guys. So go ahead and take a listen and see what he had to say.
Or a better person or a better anything than any of these guys. That's just facts right there. It's just insane that someone the size of my channel could have exponentially more pull than someone fishing the elite series at the highest level. Now, if Kevin Van Dam or Mike Iaconelli or Ish Monroe or Brandon Palaniuk or someone tells someone to go use a bait or a technique or something, is that going to have more pull on them than if Ben Milikin of Milikin Fishing, some random guy that started YouTube a year ago, did? Absolutely. But if that tip or tactic or message or whatever is only reaching 50,000 people and mine's reaching 3 million people a month, that's the difference there. It's insane. Now, this brings me to my next point, and that is once you grow with this, what I've learned is companies want something from you constantly. I get emails.
All right, there we go. There we go, guys. Big shout out to Ben Milikin. Let me go ahead and drop that down. But as you see, that is kind of the meat of tonight's conversation. And I also wanted to bring up a clip from Kyle Welcher whenever he was kind of doing the same thing, transitioning from the YouTube world and heading over to the professional side of things. But I mean, he has a lot of content, so it was hard for me to find that video. But yeah, guys, so that is going to be the conversation for this evening. And let me hop back in here real quick and just pull up the poll. Anybody that is just tuning in, welcome to the live stream. We are going to have a very interesting conversation tonight, and we have a special guest that I will bring up in about 10 seconds. But before that, I want to make sure you guys have taken the time, and actually I'm looking, a lot of you guys have already answered the poll question, but the thing that we're missing are the likes. Can you guys please tap that like button, or better yet, set the hook on the like button before we get into the content? It really, really does help out the show, guys, and helps push it out so that we can continue to grow. And if you know anybody else that may be into fishing a little bit and wants to hop in on the conversation, remember, this is a live chat. We're going to be very interactive. I will drop the link shortly, so if you want to come up and express your thoughts or opinions on the topic, you guys can do that. All right, so the poll question is, are you a YouTuber, pro, or neither? So that is the question. If you guys can hop in there. And right now we have 16% are saying that you guys are YouTubers. And remember, this is just to kind of gauge the room of who's watching. And we have 6% say that they are pros. Uh-oh, guys. Big shout out. We got some pros. We have some pros in here checking in. So if you're a pro out there, do you mind dropping your name or just putting pro? Let's see. But like I told you, guys never know who's watching. So we always have some great topics and great conversations. And then we have 78% that says neither. All right, guys. So now, without further ado, we're going to hop into the meat of the conversation and go ahead and bring up our guest. Does anybody recognize? Oh, yeah, we have the BassGeek.
Yes, sir.
We have the BassGeek checking in. How are you doing, sir? Uh-oh, one second. There we go. I had you.
There we go. That's all right. Nobody really wants to hear me anyway. It's what my wife tells me all the time.
Uh-oh. So what is going on? How are you doing, sir?
Man, I'm doing good. Things are going real well. You know, just living the grind, man. That's what we do.
Oh, yeah, I bet. I mean, consistency is key. And I see that you are very good at that. Because, I mean, you put out videos how often?
We're only putting out, we're putting out 2 videos, 2 long plays, what I call 2 long plays, standard videos every week. And then we're putting out 2 shorts every week, shorts, TikToks, reels, whatever you want to call them.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. So you saw the poll that I just put up. Are you a YouTuber, pro, or neither? And of course, we already know the answer to you. What would you consider yourself, a YouTuber, pro, or you can't say neither?
I'm definitely a YouTuber. I mean, to me, to be a pro has to be earned. You know, I mean, you to me, there's a lot of guys, and I've had several friends who we've had this debate. You know, to me, even if you can buy your way in, are you a pro? I don't think so. I think if you don't qualify, you're not a pro. I think there has to be some sort of qualification. You can't buy your way into MLB. You can't buy your way into the NFL. You can't buy your way into the NBA. You can't buy your way into the PGA. So, you know, how can you look at it and say, well, I've got enough money to pay my way, or am I a pro? No, you're
right.
No.
Okay. So what would you say is if someone says, so what is a pro? What would you define a pro as? And then I guess we'll do the same thing with what is a YouTuber. Yeah. So what would you define as a pro?
So, I'll give you the difference between me. Okay. My channel is about fishing, but it's a YouTube channel. I could do a video on, you know, paint my toenails if I really wanted to.
Right.
You know, I don't have to fish. I mean, I'd probably lose a lot of subscribers if I did a toenail painting video, but you know, so to me, a pro is somebody that qualifies to be there or 100% makes a living. And there's only two types of people that really live up to that standard, and that's a 100% living guide.
Okay.
They're day in, day out. They're making their money guiding, or the elites, the MLBs, the invitationals now. You can even count the invitationals. You can't pay to get into the invitationals. You have to qualify.
Right.
So, that didn't used to be the way with FLW. I've had a lot of conversations with guys that were like, well, FLW, they're a pro. No, they're not. They can pay to play. They don't have to qualify back in the day.
Okay.
So were they pros, or were they just guys with a lot of money?
And so let's let the chat hop in too. So in the chat, you guys drop what your definition is. What do you consider a pro in the fishing industry? What criteria do you say that there has to be in order to be considered a pro? And so the two things that you said is, one, that you have to either qualify to make it to a pro level, and then the other one is to make a living in the fishing industry. Either one of those two things would qualify you as a pro. And so I remember a few weeks back when we kind of had this discussion, we kind of touched on it. And when someone says making a living, and how they were seeing like some of the pros were coming out and saying that they weren't making any money, this and that, and they were like in the red. So let's say if someone is on the pro side, but their income is less than their outcome. You follow what I mean? So let's say at the end of the year, when you write up your expenses, and I mean, most of us, that are fishing local tournaments and trails and here and there, I think pretty much all of us, if we go and add up what our expenses are versus our income, we cannot say that we're pros from that aspect. But so would a pro be considered as far as if they're making a living off of it, or if they're just at a certain level? Because you could be at that level and still not really be making money
I agree.
From that venture.
And, for me, if you qualify, if you've had to go through the ranks, live up to a set expectations. In other words, you were good in high school, you were good in college, now you're in the pros, right? I'm not going to walk out there tomorrow and look at the Kansas City Chiefs and be like, you're out, Travis Kelce. I'm the tight end today, because I've got more money than you, So I think it's those two criteria. You've got to be, you have to qualify. And in that fact, you may be broke. There's a lot of guys that are fishing pro trails that are supporting it because they have a business.
Right. Yeah. And I would agree with that, as far as if someone, they may not even be making a lot of money at it, but if they have qualified and they have reached that, they could be grinding it out. They could be like we heard some years ago. I mean, I don't know how recent it was, but people sleeping in their trucks and different things like that to save money. But that doesn't take away from that skill level. And I think some people would actually say that person that is grinding it out like that and going through the struggles and the trials and all of that, that person is more at a higher level than someone else that may have seemed to come up on it kind of the easy way. Right. You know what I mean?
And even if you had a ton of money and you could pay for yourself to be there, you still had to qualify. You had to beat a lot of good sticks to be in that position. Now, the other way is if you're making 90% of your money because you're fishing, if you're guiding. You're making your money because, so if you show up tomorrow or don't show up next week, you better have money in the bank to pay your bills, because your guide service, your fishing service is what's keeping your wife happy.
There you go. Hey, you got to make sure that stays on point.
Letting her buy those shoes and purses. My wife's, she's a purse girl.
So look, so I have to bring this one up right here. Big shout out to 2K. This is when I was putting this live stream together, I was like, I want to see 2K come in the chat. So we had, I think it could have been last week or the week before last. We were kind of touching on this topic, and I was basically trying to get a definition from some people that, I had brought up during the question and answer segment, like, what are they considering a pro? And 2K was like, hey, MoneyBass. He was like, why are you being so obtuse? Why are you being so? And I was like, hey, wait a minute. Is that good? Is he calling? What is that? No, I'm just joking. But look, when he said it, it reminded me. Do you remember on Shawshank Redemption when he was in there with the warden and he called him obtuse? The warden seemed like he didn't quite know what he meant, but he was like, send him to the hole. But so the thing about why I wanted to bring the question up about 2K, well, his answer to what is a pro, because he made the up to statement like, hey, you know what a pro is. Why are you trying to make it so difficult? And the reason why is because I noticed that there were a lot of different definitions that people were saying that they were considering pros that I don't think 2K or other people would agree with. So I was just trying to see, kind of gauge where people's thoughts were at. But 2K says you are a pro if you're, let me see, if you're a professional fishing guide. Okay, so you agreed with that one, or you fish all of the tournaments on tour. So you have to fish all of the tournaments on tour.
What tour does that? What tour is it? The BFLs? I'll heavily disagree. I've been a coach, man. I know.
Don't you fish the BFLs? We're not pros.
Yeah, I didn't. I fished as a co and I fished as a boater, and I can tell you, ain't neither one. I've seen a lot of those, including myself. I sure couldn't call ourselves pros.
All right, so I'm honing in on 2K right now. So go ahead and clarify that 2K. Yeah. So you said, so which tour are you referring to that would make the person a guide, and then fishing which tour would make them a pro?
And again, to me, it has to be qualifying. So even what's the opens called now? The elite, the EQ qualifier. The EQ is the qualifiers.
Interesting. Interesting.
The oh my God, what's the MLF side of it? I just went brain dead. See, I don't even count the opens because you don't have to qualify. You just have a lot of money. Man. And there's a lot of people. This is where the area begins to gray. Now, if you're making, I'll even give you, if you're making enough money off sponsors in the opens and you're doing it all the time, and a combination between opens and guiding, and that's your largest primary income, I'll give you a pass.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. So he said open, level, and up. And I just want to touch on this real quick, because the last time, whenever the topic of co-anglers came up, the chat kind of went off the rails. But just real quick, because one of the things that I think the discussion was about was at what level do they not allow co-anglers? And at the time, I believe that's where 2K had said at the pro level that they don't have co-anglers at the pro level. But the opens, they have co-anglers, right?
Yeah, they do.
Gotcha. All right. So I just wanted to make sure I'm stating
the
it right.
The opens and the coasters.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay. All right. So what is your thought on that real quick? So, well, actually, you just said so the elites basically is where you would consider.
That's where I'd cut it off. I think, again, I mean, NASCAR doesn't have a co-pilot. Tiger Woods don't have a semi-pro putting with him.
Gotcha. All right. All right. So right now, so the poll question, guys, I see a lot of people did participate in that. So really, really appreciate it. So the first question of the evening that we had was, are you a YouTuber, a pro, or neither? And again, that is to gauge the room to see who we have watching this evening. And we have 16% said they are YouTubers. So we have some YouTubers. Shout out to the YouTubers checking in. All right. So that is 16%. And then we have some pros. All right. We have some pros checking in. So we have 4% say that they are pros. And then we have 80% that says, hey, I'm neither. I'm just here for the entertainment. I want to see, I want to take a sneak peek and see what's going on over here. So we had 80% that said they are neither. All right. So let me see. I'm just going to hop in the chat real quick and just see, if there's been any interesting questions or comments in there. Have you seen anything that kind of caught your attention?
Well, I've just been chatting with you. So
gotcha. Hey, sometimes that's the best thing to do. All right. So I do want to give a big shout out to the sponsor of the last live stream, Cerebral Tackle. Each week, whenever we do these live streams, this channel is supported by you guys, the viewers and subscribers to the channel. So whoever gives the largest super chat, super sticker during the live stream is the sponsor of that live stream. And right now, as you guys see on the banner that is scrolling below, it says special thank you so much to the sponsor of the stream, CT. All right. So just wanted to slide that in there real quick. All right. So let's hop into the chat and see if anybody had any comments to, to add to what we were saying. All right. So Saber says, if you make your money from only fishing tournaments, you're a pro in my book. Okay. So yeah. So that was one of the things. If you make a living. So if you're making a living from it. All right. Then we have, oh, check this one out. Brian says, I'm a professional amateur.
That's pretty much the story of my life at anything I do.
Hey, I think the majority of us are professional amateurs, even though we kind of want to say, hey, no, I'm a real pro over here.
No,
all right,
I don't ever say that. I'm a pro tinkerer.
All right, let's see. We got LJ. We have James Harmon. He says, hey, BassGeek, I've got a bone to pick with you, sir. Uh-oh. Do you know LJ? James Harmon?
Yeah, I think so. Hey, pick away, man.
But you know what? He may be talking about from the chat, because you've been in the chat before, so he's always in the chat causing a few problems. All right, let's see. I'm just going through here real quick. And real quick, guys, the people that you see with the badges next to their names, those are the members of the Money Team. And those chat messages on my end stand out a lot better. So whenever I do start getting behind in the chat and I just want to catch up real quick, I'll go through and kind of pick out some members of the Money Team and put their messages up here. And if anybody's interested in supporting the channel, just click the join button down below. It'll give you some quick information about becoming a member of the channel. And those are the people that you will hear me referring to as the Money Team. All right, let's see. So LJ, he says touring pro that makes a living, or pro guy that makes a living. All right. So yeah. So it looks like that's going to be the consensus for the room. Let's see what Big Ivy had to say. He says, to me, where'd it go? Okay, to me, if you are a pro, you have to win your way in and travel with the elites. Okay, all right, there you go. Looks like you hit it right on the, you got the crew behind you on this one. All right, let's see who else we have checking in. Let's see. Wait a minute, guys. What do we have here? Gotta stop the show. We have a new member of the live stream. All right, so shout out to Bass Pundit. Okay, all right. I think you're going to drop some of your thoughts in the chat, but really, really appreciate it. Do want to give credit where credit is due. Anybody that steps in and supports the show, really, really appreciate it. All right, so let's see. So that's a few questions in there. Just trying to think. Let's go ahead and drop the next poll, guys. And while we're doing that, let's just see. What was the next question that we were going to talk about? So we talked about what is a pro. So let me see. When are you buying? Okay, hold on one second. There was a good question that I had in here. You saw something that caught your eye?
Yeah, James Harmon is he's talking about using linear baits.
Oh, there we go. Yep. So he's with
I'll be honest, I don't know that I've got any. So James, listen, I'm always up for trying some new baits. You can holler at me.
All right. So we already had how many people were YouTubers. All right, so the other thing that I wanted to do, let me pull up this next clip and we'll kind of just watch this one together, and then that way we can kind of comment on it, and then I can hop back into the chat. Wait a minute, guys, we have a new sponsor of the live stream. Well, I guess the same sponsor of the live stream. He just gifted 5 memberships to the channel. Big shout out to CT, that is Cerebral Tackle, guys. He's always showing up and showing out, so really, really appreciate that. All right, so what I'm going to, and also, if you received one of these gifted memberships from CT, drop CT in the chat. Just got to put some respect on his name. Give some credit where credit is due. All right, so let me drop this down here real quick. And there's another clip, and this was from today's show with Todd Castledine. And I generally am able to catch the show, but I didn't get my notification today. But they had an interesting conversation. It kind of moved around a little bit, but then they touched on some of the information that we were just discussing. All right, guys. So just bear with me real quick while I bring this up. Let me see where we're at. All right, there we go. All right, just bear with me, guys. This is a live show. Sometimes I have to get in here and do a little work, and things may not.
You got to give me a sign, ear tug, and I'll start feeling for you.
Yeah, I thought. Okay, here we go. All right, so I'm gonna pull up this next clip, and let's just take a listen and see what. This is Todd Castledine and Slick Johnson. Does anybody know who Slick Johnson is? I think he's kind of big over there on the TikTok side of things. All right. So,
yeah, he what is it? Alabama Council.
Yeah, Alabama Bass Council or something like that. Yeah, so and it's funny because the first time I saw him, I thought that he was the G-Man. I thought he was Gerald Swindle the first time, and that's why I started watching. I was like, wait a minute, he doesn't quite look, because
he's a little older than G-Man.
Yeah, but the first time I saw him, he maybe he was a little younger too, because I think he may have been on there
having
for a while.
some Just for Men in there.
All right, so let's take a listen and see what he had to say.
In Gunnersville and Pickwick, I can stay right at home. And, I go win a BFL. Well, by the time I get all the contingency stuff, I got $12,000 or $14,000. But I still make more money from social media, and not just specifically from TikTok or from Instagram or whatever, but because of what it gets me from other people doing videos for companies and things like that. So you're right. These other people, though, that don't have social media, that are just trying to fish and make money, you can't do it. You just can't. I mean, Jordan and I had this conversation, and I said, take the classics away. Take your 2 classics away and your sponsors. Can't do it. Couldn't do it.
All right, so there we go. I just wanted to pull that up real quick just to kind of get your thoughts on that right there, because I mean, he's talking about he's out here doing the tournament thing, but he's seeing that avenue over here, like Milikin was talking about the the YouTube side of things.
Oh yeah, and Milikin's right. I'll be honest with you. I mean, I've been in the booth with several big name pros, several pros that have won Anglers of the Year, multiple Anglers of the Year, and I hate to say it, but a lot of times more guys know who I am than they are.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not anybody special. Don't get me wrong. I'm a dumb fat redneck from Tennessee. You know what I'm saying? I mean, who just went out and bought 2 GoPros and decided he was going to start talking about fishing. So I in no way do I consider myself anybody. The only reason I am anybody is because of the awesome people that support my channel.
Definitely.
And
definitely.
they're that's a whole different story. But anyway, he's right. I mean, but you got to look at it. Everybody's like, well, when will fishing, when will fishing be a true sport? And there's enough that, well, NASCAR teams don't make enough just off winnings to support the teams.
Right.
That's why there's patches all over their shirts. That's why they fake take drinks of Coke when they get out of the car. It's why they've got primary sponsors on the hoods and the sides. If it wasn't for the sponsors, those teams couldn't compete, because the winnings are bigger than pro fishing, but so's the audience. But most of those winnings throughout the year would not support the day-to-day operation of that team.
Right.
That's why you see a lot of teams going out of business that can't find sponsors. It's, as a matter of fact, why one of the best, most winning drivers, is no longer with Joe Gibbs and started to retire early.
Right.
And Kyle Busch. And I'm no Kyle Busch fan, but he lost primary sponsors and they, somebody else had them.
Right.
So,
yeah. I mean, so I guess let's kind of pick on some YouTubers a little bit now, because there's a lot of people that have hopped into the social media YouTube side of the thing, and so if they're not a pro angler, some people want that title of being a YouTuber, but they may not quite be there. So to be a pro, what it looks like the consensus says, you have to make a living off of it, or you have to qualify to be at that elite level. So as far as becoming a YouTuber, what kind of criteria would you say that you should have in place to be considered a YouTuber?
Well, let's talk fishing industry. Anybody can be a YouTuber. Just pick up a camera, go make some videos. Bam, you're a YouTuber. Easy peasy. It's that simple. It's that simple. Now, what level of YouTuber do you want to be? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I got in this because, I mean, a lot of people, I had somebody say this, a great, you know, one of my biggest supporters, and he was like, you know, it's good to hear that you're just a regular guy, even though you got 2 bass boats and more tackle than Tackle Warehouse has, right? But I didn't start that way, and I've, you know, this is years of me not doing YouTube, of fishing. You know, I've been bass fishing for 36 years.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I got stuff in here older than a lot of guys in the comment section. I guarantee I got some tubes in here older than you guys.
Right.
But you know, there's a lot. I mean, to me, there's two types of YouTubers. There's entertainers.
Right.
There's guys who want to be YouTubers, and there's guys who fish that are YouTubers.
Right.
And I will always be an angler first. I'm always out there trying to be better at catching bass. And maybe that's not in a tournament setting, because I'll tell you right now, I'm a horrible tournament angler. And the reason why I'm a horrible tournament angler is because when I find bass, I've got 14 rods on either side of me. So I've got 30 rods out, and I'm going, well, I wonder if I can catch them on this since I caught them on that. And I'm like, let me see how they react. Okay, let me try this over here. Okay, let me try that over there. So and you know, Money, that you can't do that during practice, and you can't do that during a tournament. You better know, you better have 4 or 5 rods out at tops.
Right.
And you better be dialing her in. I'm a tinkerer, and that always hurts me, because I always want to pick up something every 5 minutes. And you know, I love tournaments. I love tournament fishing. I've got a shirt probably signed by 500 people, from Kevin Van Dam to Bill Dance to Gary Yamamoto, and it hangs framed on my wall, which is not back there right now because I just got back from East Tennessee and got a good friend of mine, Matty Wong, to sign it. Okay. You know, put him on the shirt. So,
all right.
But yeah, you know, the Googans, they're great. They're great entertainers.
Oh,
are they good anglers? Yeah.
I mean, but
they're good businessmen.
Right. Yeah. I mean, to me, it's like, even thinking about them, to me, where I think everybody started from, just that running around and trying to figure things out. You're going to this lake, that lake, pond hopping. You're doing all that, fishing with things that may not work, but hey, just to experience that whole thing. So yeah,
and I get that, but let's look at the original. Let's look at the original Guggen squad. How many of them actually still fish? So did they actually just want to be YouTubers, or did they actually love and have a passion for fishing?
What do you think? Because
I think Flair didn't. I think, you know, let's face it, it's farming with Flair now, right? I mean, look, I don't mean to be throwing shade, but let's just look at the progression.
And actually, I would just say that it isn't even throwing shade, because there's nothing wrong with progression. People may, have different paths and things like that.
And I agree.
So I
agree. And they started out as young kids, so
right.
They didn't really know who they were. They loved fishing at the time. Me, I've loved fishing my whole life. It is my passion. It's what I would do and what I did before YouTube. And it's if a EMF went off, an electromagnetic pulse bomb went off tomorrow, and all electronics was done, guess where I'd be? I'd be in that John boat out there throwing baits.
There you go.
So
yeah, I mean, sometimes the feeling just hits me like, hey, I just want to go to the bank and just go out there and catch. I mean, not even necessarily trying to catch anything. It's just sometimes that feeling of, just being out there walking along the bank, just that whole experience of it. It's just kind of a different, different aspect of it.
Yeah.
So this is the question though. So we named some things that it took to qualify to be a pro fisherman. So for me, like whenever you said that, all you got to do is grab a camera and go out there and start recording, I would equate that to like what people are saying on the pro side, like, hey, I'm a pro, I'm fishing this tournament over here, I'm doing that, not making any money, and they have a jersey that has a bunch of logos and stuff, and none of them are paying them.
Yeah.
To me, if you just grab a camera or something, you're going out here and you're uploading videos like once a month or every so many, you know what I mean?
Well, what do we call that then? I mean, we've got to we got to call it a pro YouTuber. I mean,
right. So in the chat, what would you call like somebody that, because I guess if we looked at it from the same perspective, the first thing was, do you make a living off of it? But I wouldn't necessarily say that you have to do that as to be considered.
Yeah,
right.
I'm still working full time.
Right. 100% income from it to be a YouTuber. I think it would be more so on consistency. I think that is one of the key things that you would look at, because if you look at somebody's content or something like that and you see 12 videos a year, like one a month, I would say it's like, because the thing is with YouTube, and I'm pretty sure you know that at certain points it could go on for 3 months, 4 months, and then all of a sudden you'll hit a stumbling block because you're starting to get burned out. You're not going to get burned out doing one video a month. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So if you are putting out content consistently, then that is putting you, to me, in the realm of being what I would say a professional YouTuber.
I definitely agree with that. And that's you know, it's you know, I guess I'll look at YouTube with me as something where I'm not you know, I honestly believe if I can do it, anybody can.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you got to love what you do, right? You got to love it, you know, or you at least got to really work hard at it, you know?
Oh yeah, definitely.
And, you know, I think that's, to me, the thing, you know, I know, and I'm surprised, you know, to have the little bit of success that I've had. It's definitely way more success than I ever thought I would have. But, you know, so I guess that's why I say anybody can do it. Because if I can do it, man, I come dirt poor, literally shoveling out stalls. So shoveling, you know, shiz, so to speak, you know, from the time I was 12-year-old, you know, to buy my school clothes for a year. You know, I grew up ultra super poor, and to be able to go from there to here, and YouTube didn't do it for me. There was a lot of hard work in between there, and a lot of you know, scraped knees and falls and being picked up by my wife or family, and you know, YouTube is another one. You know, I mean, you know, we were 2022, we were clocking. I mean, we were rolling, and dude hits my brand new house because he has a seizure doing 80 miles an hour, takes out 5 vehicles and 2 houses. And, you know, I don't have the ability at that point to be, you know, to put out. So I lose my consistency.
Right.
But you know, I mean, there's so many different levels to the YouTube thing. You know, I won't say it's easier, but you know, the Googans are young guys. Right. If they get out there and they do it, you know, those guys have never worked a real job a day in their life. Mm-hmm. You know, they got lucky enough. They were smart enough to have an opportunity and they seized it.
Right.
Now they haven't, that doesn't mean they haven't worked. Those guys have put in hella work.
Oh, definitely. And they were smart enough to be able to capitalize on what they were building, because there's a lot of people that just miss those opportunities.
That's right.
So yeah.
But you know, they don't have a wife and kids and grandkids and a car payment and a house payment. And, you know, so for guys like me and you,
man, doesn't it make it hard?
You know, guys who are already guides or already pros, you know. Now, so, and I'm saying this because yes, anybody can do it. You can grab your GoPros and you can go out.
Right.
And you're going to stink at first. It's going to be awful. You're not going to want to do it. You're not going to want to be in front of a camera. You're going to hate your voice. You're going to hate your editing, but don't stop. Grind, get better, work harder.
Right.
Because if you can't be better than anybody else, work harder than everybody else.
Right.
And don't whine about it if you're not willing to love it, live it, live it. The Fluke Master, I met him several years ago.
Oh yeah, I just met him a few weeks ago. He was at the expo that I was at. Yeah.
His words to me were, "You're going to make it," and I was like, "Wow." but he said, you better learn to love the grind. I work 45 to 50 hours a week, and I put in, you know, I think I sat down and to do one 8 to 15 minute how-to from filming to editing to posting is 24 hours.
Right. When you add it, when you kind of take away all the dead space and just add it all together. Right.
When
Exactly.
From the time you go out and shoot it to the time you edit it, upload it, put all your tags and titles, the exact work. I'm not talking about taking breaks in the middle. I'm talking about exact work. It's 24 hours.
Right. And a lot of people are surprised whenever they hear that. Like they watch an 8-minute video, but they don't realize that 8-minute video, just the editing alone, sometimes it's like, man, it gets tough.
A good fishing video with a good intro and good B-roll, you know, and as the day goes on, that video alone can take 14 hours to simply edit. 14 hours to edit.
Man.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So look, I went ahead and dropped the next poll question, guys. So the next poll question, you know, figured I'd, you know, be a little interesting on this one. So would you prefer to be a YouTuber or a pro? So based on the stipulations that we put as a YouTuber versus a pro. And what I would think is that the majority of people, they kind of have a better idea of what it takes as far as being a pro, because there's more highlights and more content and things that you can look out there and visualize and see what kind of goes into the back end of being a pro to an extent. But with the YouTube thing, like how you just mentioned, 24 hours for an 8-minute video, and then to do that consistently, to get those 8 minutes or 10 minutes of a video that looks, you know, it looks like we may have snapped our fingers and put the things together. But the poll, it says, would you prefer to be a YouTuber or a pro? So we have 55% said YouTubers, and then we have 45% said that they would prefer to be a pro. So all right, so in the chat, guys, drop your reasoning behind that. Why would you prefer to be a YouTuber, and why would you prefer to be a pro? What is the, you know, what is the determining factor behind that? And wait 1 second, I have to stop the show. We have a new sponsor. Look at this. Shout out to Joe Winkler, a big supporter of the channel and a member of the Money Team.
Yes, sir.
All right. And let's see, what did Joe say? Joe Winkler says, CT, you build the, what is that? You build the channel and I'll fill the MoneyBass boat with gas.
Hey, I'd take that deal any day. Gas, man.
Hey, there we go. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And look, so we do some on the water lives and on the water challenges too. And so Joe Winkler, he's been hitting me up with some, you know, some nice super chats. And basically what we would do is I'll be out on the lake, and let's say I'm fishing offshore. They'll be like, man, we don't want to see you throwing that you know what they call a spin cast, you know, a spinning. So they're like, put that. I'm like, hey man, don't be disrespecting my style like that. But they were like, put that down and catch something on a bait caster. He was like, if you catch something on a bait caster, I'll super chat you $50. So of course I put that spinning reel down and picked up that bait caster, and boom, I caught one on top water like that. And hey, he sent it right over. So big shout out to Joe Winkler. Let me hop in here real quick and do a little work. So the banner at the bottom of the screen, it previously said shout out to CT, Cerebral Tackle, but now he said, Joe Winkler said, hold up, swole up. You got to slide over for a second and make some room for me, because I want to be the sponsor of tonight's live stream. All right, so now if you guys take a look, you will see that the banner now says, special thank you so much to the sponsor of the stream, Joe Winkler. Really, really appreciate that. All right, so let's see. Let me drop this back down real quick. All right, so yeah, so the poll that we were talking about kind of threw me off a little bit. The poll that we were talking about, we have 54% says pro, and 54% at YouTuber and 47% at pro. So what do you think about that? Was that kind of what you would be thinking?
Yeah, you know, I mean, nowadays, knowing what I know, I mean, don't get me wrong. Listen, if I ever get to walk away which I'm really close. I'm really close.
Hold on. Wait a minute. You gotta drop some hand claps for that. All right.
But you know, I mean, closer than I ever thought I'd be. No, I'll have to take a pay cut, you know, to achieve my goal. But you know, to be able to take, that's a whole nother story, you know. But
right.
You know, you take a pay cut at first, and then hopefully you put out enough content.
Right. And I mean, the thing with that is, if, for example, if you did that and you dedicated that same amount of time that you would be now gaining to at least get things moving, that you know, I mean, it can't go. But up from there.
You know, I've told you, you know, and I give this all the time. Well, since we're talking about Ben, you know, Ben had just over 12,000 subscribers when he quit his job. Now his wife had a great job, and I'm sure they had a nice little nest egg saved up. Which, funny enough, guess who talked Ben into quitting his job? We've already mentioned him, and he's a Guggen.
Oh, that's right,
boys and girls. The coaching tree runs deep. Okay?
Right.
So, because Ben Milikin is from Nebraska, not Texas, for all you guys that don't know. So when he fished Nebraska, he run into another Nebraska native named Fishing with Flair.
That's right.
Fishing with Flair and him made a few videos together, a few collabs. And about a few months, we'll say 3 to 6 months, Ben Milikin decided he's going to quit his job and go put 5 videos a week out. Now, Ben also worked for Mystery Tackle Box. For you guys that don't know, you can go out to their website or to their YouTube channel, and you can still see some of the old videos that he did for them. So, you know, Ben put the work in, but, you know, Ben wasn't always self-sufficient. Let's put it to you that way.
Yeah, I mean,
kind of an oversell, in my opinion, because Ben had a kid and a wife and bills.
Right, exactly.
And so, you know, you get a lot of guys out there, you know, because same here, I can't just walk away from my job. YouTube pays nothing. It's a joke until you're so big.
Right.
Let me tell you, I'll tell you when you can actually make enough money to support yourself on YouTube. You have to do 30,000+ views a day.
Wait a minute, guys. He's about to slide you some of that background info. Okay, all right.
30 to 35.
So look, so this is the question. What is the path or the key to success? Like, what are the different things that you would say people need to do if they are looking to have a successful career or, you know, part-time thing with YouTube?
It's really about the consistency, and everybody's path is different, but everybody talks about the algorithm,
right?
And I can and listen, I've talked this up to so many people, and they don't want to hear it and they don't want to listen. In the bass fishing world, there's no such thing as viral. And if you hit a viral video, let's say you're like, you know, Uncle Jeb shot me because I was trespassing on his farm, but I caught a tenner. You know, that one video is going to do very well, but if you can't consistently put out that same sort of content, those people are going to come for that content. They're going to leave because you don't give it to them again.
Right. So
if you ain't getting shot every other week, you know.
Oh no, not getting shot every week.
You know, by Uncle Jed at his pond.
Right.
At his trophy bass.
How many times can you get shot?
I just got MoneyBass totally demonetized right now. I just shouldn't have said that. Oh, we don't mean it, YouTube. We don't mean it. We do not condone the use of, you know, firearms against.
That is right.
Against YouTubers or anyone else.
Oh man.
But you know, it's got to be consistent. You got to put out consistently. You know, take a drink, Tackle Junkie. So, you know, it really is about the consistency. You have to get out there, and whether it's one a week. I mean, that's where I started. You know, me and Money's had this discussion before. You know, Tactical Bassin grew their channel from 2010 to 2017 to 33,000.
Right.
7 years, they had 33,000. They were inconsistent. once they started being consistent, again, all roads lead back to Googan. They went in 2017 to the Shimano gathering in Texas, and guess who they fished with?
Uh-oh.
The Googans. They come back and they said, well, we're going to start doing things 3 days a week.
Mm-hmm.
So the point I'm making is they began to be consistent, and they, tripled in size their first year. They went from 33 to 98,000. They went from 98. Ben started putting out 5 videos. So anybody that tells you more does not work. And I'll tell you, go back and look at Ben from the beginning of that year to the end. That man did it all himself. So you want to talk about work? That man edited. There was no cameraman for him that year.
Right.
He edited, he filmed, and I mean fishing videos. That man looked like he was about to fall over dead by the end of the year. He did. I mean, that man worked. He put as much work into it as anybody else I've ever seen in my life.
Man.
In 5 videos, he was able to me, to see one of the biggest jumps I've ever seen from, the 12 to 100. And what was it he showed on his little clock there? 58,000.
Yeah, 150. You're right. Yeah.
So, I mean, I always say 3 is the magic number. So,
all right. I know you see that next comment down here.
Yeah, regular basis.
Right. So Randy Blockett does it on a regular basis.
And
yes,
I mean,
consistency. Right.
Yeah. But Randy Blockett also had a little outside help. Who got Randy Blockett started in YouTube?
All right, let's see. In the chat, does anybody, because I know the answer to it. Does anybody know? Does anybody know what gave Randy Blockett a little boost in the YouTube game? Does anybody know?
Yeah. I'll give one hint. He at the time he was already over the 100K mark.
Let's see. What does LJ say? LJ says, guys, we're here to talk fishing and have some fun. Well,
we're the business side of fishing.
Well, I think something's going on in the chat. I don't always keep up with the chat, so I think.
Yeah, me neither. Man.
Okay, here we go. All right, so somebody said beyond fishing.
No.
All right, well, here we go.
I see it though.
Shout out to Campbell J Fishing. Yep. He says, well, wait a minute. Does this count? He says fish the marmot.
He's like me. He just can't spell. It's close enough.
All right, Campbell J. Fish the marmot. You win the prize. a bag of used worms.
There you go. Picked up fresh at the boat ramp.
All right, there we go. All right, Jason Hayes, you got it.
And we'll get back to fishing. Sorry, guys. But, it's interesting. I'm a student of the game, right? Like, you got to understand, like, I volunteer coached high school football for 13 years.
Right.
And I love game film, and I love to break down. And I'm an IT guy. I'm a computer geek. It's what I do in the day. Hence the BassGeek name for you guys that don't know. So I'm big on, studying, whether it be the professional game or whether it be the YouTube game. And there's always a lot of angles.
Gotcha. All right. So now what we are going to do, we're going to slide into the next segment, and we're going to call this the call-in segment. So I dropped the link in the chat. So if any of you guys, especially if you have a YouTube channel, you might want to click that link and come up here.
Yeah,
you might want to come up and ask them questions and, learn a little something. So yeah, like I said, we're here to have some fun, guys. We're here to talk about fishing, YouTube, hot topics, slow topics. We're just here to hang out and have some fun with it. All right, so that poll. So I'll change the poll out too. So would you prefer to be a YouTuber or a pro? And we had 54% said a YouTuber and 46% said pro. And I saw someone in here mention that they wanted to be a YouTuber, I guess because of the time. Right, yeah, because
if you ain't willing to put the time in, it's not. You better. I can't even say go be a pro because you ain't willing to put the time in.
Right. I think what they were saying is, as far as the time that the YouTuber kind of does, can kind of regulate your schedule.
They can, yeah.
And then the other thing, I've noticed that some of the pros have been getting some steep fines for coming on some of these live streams and saying some things that the organizations don't want them to say, so they get hit with fines and things like that too. Whereas on the YouTube side,
yeah, we just say whatever we want, whether it's true or not.
Right.
Like a pig's fly. See, I seen one. I catch all my bass on a Carolina rig buzzbait.
A Carolina rig buzzbait. Let me think. I know somebody